very good evening to each and every one of you. Welcome to the Dugout Football Channel, where it is time to react to the Champions League draw. And I'm going to say this now, in there, but we will get into that very, very shortly. Actually, at the bottom of your screen, you will see who the English clubs have got. So let me just put there. Joining me this evening, on making his debut on the Dugout Football Channel, it's lovely to have another Scotsman on the channel. It is Reece Russell. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm all right. Just doing as is. Also, I'm surrounded by two Liverpool fans, so it's going to be interesting. One Liverpool fan, obviously, I know from previous channels, that's Doug, but I've watched a few previous videos before, and that is Connor. He's a decent lad, so I'll be tuning that. Also, I watched your show when you mugged off AFTV, so magic. I was watching that live in the background.
That was very, very funny. And I've got Mr. Connor Niblett from the Kop Council. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm very well, thank you, mate. Friggin' AFTV. Wow, at least we haven't got to put them up in the Champions League this season. I'm absolutely fantastic, mate. Of course, Champions League. This is why we're here, and very good games. I will say that. Away from Liverpool, and I just can't wait now for Champions League to actually be on our screens. Finally.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's say hello to a few people. Diego C. Palace is evening all. Group D, Liverpool, Ajax, Atalanta, Midtjylland. I won't if Klopp has ever managed in opposition to Ajax, Atalanta, and Midtjylland. Well, let's be honest. The last team I have heard of vaguely. I think they played you guys actually quite recently. Actually, but Reece as well. Good evening.
Don't bring up Midtjylland.
Good evening, Seamus.
Yeah, Midtjylland, we played them in the Europa League 4 years ago. It was the team that Marcus Rashford made his debut against. We lost, I think, 2-0, in the first leg, and then we beat them, I think it was 5-0, 5-1 at Old Trafford, and we went through. I wasn't too pleased about the opponent. I wasn't too pleased about who we got afterwards when we went out. Obviously, we unfortunately lost to Liverpool in the following round, but that was because Van Gaal played terrible tactics. Van Gaal played the wrong tactics against Liverpool. He played the perfect tactics in the league, beating us twice, but unfortunately we couldn't do it in Europe. But it was all right. I mean, you didn't win the final anyway, so it's all right.
Yeah, that's very true. Atalanta are a decent side, and Ajax always produce good young players, but we should be topping that group. Yes, I would agree. We will come to Liverpool very shortly. Ballum guys in. Where is the Chelsea expert, Michael Richards? Josh is on his way, people. He has been working this evening. He is on his way. I've sent him the link. He will be making it as well. Russell is in. Managed to make it. Dougalicious says, Russell, hope you're doing well, my friend. Hi, lads. Welcome. Reece says, Liz Golden.
Hey, Liz.
Same as every evening. Doug, Connor, and Reece. Nice way of doing it. Tough group for everybody. Manchester have Paris and Red Bull. LFC have that 1999 Danish team. Atalanta play good football, and Ajax CR7 against Messi. Yes, we will get to that. Right. So let's start with your team, Reece. Manchester United. Wow. Welcome back to the Champions League.
Yep. Back in the tournament we belong.
As you can see at the bottom of your screen, they have PSG, Red Bull Leipzig, and Istanbul Basaksehir.
Yeah.
Wow. Welcome back
Says
to
it all,
the
really.
Champions League.
Says it all, really.
How are you feeling about that?
One of those teams I'm definitely looking forward to going up against, and that's Leipzig. I've watched Leipzig for about 5 or 6 years now, and they are such a good side. I mean, they're not the type of mould of possession, high press, counter-attack. They've got the perfect manager, Nagelsmann, who has a combination of all three as his style, and that's what I admire about him. And if anybody that knows me can ask me who's your favourite manager in world football, 100% it's Julian Nagelsmann. He is top of that list. I love Ole, Man United manager, Man United legend, but he is by far my favourite manager, and he has been since his days as Hoffenheim youth manager, and that was back in 2014.
Yeah, he's a great manager. He's a great manager. Leipzig, they're a really, really tricky team to play against. I mean, I know they've lost Werner. I know they've lost, they've lost Werner. They've still got Upamecano. They've bought the boy from Salzburg as well, who tore Liverpool to shreds.
Hwang Hee-chan, yeah.
Yeah, he was absolutely fantastic last season.
I think Sorloth's the one.
And
Sorloth's the one to watch out for. Sorloth, I'd say, is the one to watch out for. Sorry, Doug, I was just paying that. I think he's the one. 39 goals and 47 appearances. Even if it was in the Turkish league, it's still strong numbers, and that's convincing.
Yeah, definitely. And you've got a chance to get one over on PSG again. And especially Russell Bland's favourite person right now in Angel Di Maria.
Yeah, fuck him, eh? To be honest, like, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I'm not dismissing PSG by saying I'm more interested in the Leipzig games. It's nothing to do with that. I know what to expect from PSG. They're gonna come at you from like all angles. They've got such a fantastic front four. They don't even play a front three anymore. They play a front four, but based on the way they've done it, like Tuchel seems to set up as a 4-2-4 now. So he clearly loves his 50s football with classic Real Madrid teams. So. But what I will say is, I'm not going to dismiss PSG in any circumstance. They're still one of the top 5 teams in world football. They do play a snake, so he'll try to inject venom. Yeah. But I'm hoping that we get one over them. But we're going to have to be on our game. There's no room for error. Regardless, there's no room for error. And yes, we've got a young squad, but there's some talent in that squad. And if they're on their game, we can certainly make an impact, but I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, but I'm up for it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and you have to face the best teams in this, sometimes in the group stage, and, baptism of fire of you to come back, baptism of fire for Istanbul as well. Connor, you and I were talking off screen, and you were saying that actually PSG have actually strengthened really well in positions that they needed to strengthen, haven't they?
Yeah, in certain areas, I think, they've got rid of dead wood like Thiago Silva, as we all saw from the weekend, that was much needed. Even though I do still think, though, they can add, in certain areas, centre half. I think, even though you've got rid of the dead wood in Thiago Silva, you need to replace that. Potentially they could still sign Koulibaly. I think that's an option. I know that.
Hold up.
Oh, hello.
Another guest is here. Josh,
Nick Richards.
How you doing?
Hello. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad. Apologies for being a bit late. The joys of working 2 jobs these days, all over the place.
Oh, no problem. We're just discussing Manchester United's group of death.
The Manchester United group.
What's your reaction to that United group?
It's definitely a very tough group for United, but I think they'll get it. I think they will probably just about get ahead of Leipzig. I think Leipzig without Timo Werner are quite toothless. I watched them. I watched the first 2 games in the Bundesliga, and they just don't look the same team. They don't have that same energy up front. They're missing that focal point. United obviously haven't been great either. I think they've scraped by the first couple of weeks. I'm sure which has been very tough for Reece to watch. Probably felt like tearing his hair out. But I think when the Champions League comes around, and I think in general, I think United, unless United suffer an injury to Bruno Fernandes or Pogba or something like that, I feel like they'll just about get second. But I think that game at Old Trafford between United and Leipzig will be the difference.
I totally agree. I think we'll move away from the group of death, and we'll talk about Chelsea's group now.
Sure.
Rennes, Krasnodar and Sevilla. So what's your reaction to that, Josh?
Good group.
I think it's actually a good group. I think a lot of teams. Don't get me wrong, Rennes are not the best side in the world, but French teams typically do well in the Champions League. I think we'll struggle against Rennes. I remember when we played Lille in France last year, we only just about won that game. The game of Stamford Bridge was irrelevant because they played their reserve, so that was always going to be a one-sided fixture. But I feel like this is a group that we're doing the most typical Chelsea thing. We did exactly when we signed all of these players, thinking, Thiago Silva came in, we've got the best defense in the league, we're unstoppable, and I think the West Brom game proved everything that I said beforehand, that was never going to be the case. So I think the group is tough. I think we'll struggle. But I think Chelsea will finish second in that group. And the reason why I think second is that I think a lot of people are underestimating Lopetegui's Sevilla team. That team are incredibly good. They're so fast, they're so quick, they're direct. They've made a really good transfer window. Lopetegui is a really, really good manager. I think he got free in the deep end at Real Madrid. I think that was kind of a blimp of what happened with him. I think that is going to be a far tougher game than I think. And I think Chelsea's defence will get torn apart by them in both games, if I'm being realistically honest. So I think Chelsea will get second in that group. I think Rennes will be tough, but we should have enough for Rennes, especially when the Champions League starts. And hopefully all the players are mixed in.
Yeah. Do you think, though, that it might be a difficult one for Sevilla? Because they've let go of Ever Banega, who was a crucial creative force in midfield last year, but they don't have Regular on the left back either. And you saw from what he did, his impact. He was fantastic at the left back position. I'm not sure if they've signed anyone to replace him, but one thing I will say is shrewd business in getting Rakitic back in the midfield. He's not going to replace Banega, but he certainly adds that quality at least.
The one thing about that Sevilla team is that one thing that Lopetegui has always done, he did it with Spain, he did it with Sevilla, is that they're not an individually based team. That team plays as 11 men. They play as a team. They play for his philosophy. It's not we have to rely on Banega, we have to rely on Rudiger, we have to rely on Luc de Jong. It's a team collective. Yeah. That team plays as a collective. And, Chelsea, if Chelsea are struggling, what will we do? We pass it to Christian Pulisic, we pass it to Kai Havertz, we pass it to Timo Werner. Yeah. Like, all we did in that West Brom game in the first half was Reece crossed it in the box, Sevilla just continue to play their way. That's something teams don't do when they struggle, and that is why they're such a good team to play against. And I think Chelsea, unless Lampard can somehow magically click his fingers and turn it and have a Simeone-style defence, they will rip us apart.
It's a very interesting group. Connor, what do you make of Chelsea's group?
Sevilla, like Josh has said, they are being very underrated going into this year. Especially. You look at it, everyone was saying Inter Milan was going to win that Europa League final last year. And then, they end up turning it around. And, I think like Rennes, they'll want to do something because, of course, Chelsea took their goalkeeper away from them. So, they'll obviously want to, show why he should have stayed, realistically. But, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, I think Chelsea will go through. I think it'll be no problem. I think they'll be comfortably second in that group for sure. In my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. I think looking at that group, I mean, Rennes, yes, they are a good side, but they don't have Ismaila Sarr. And I remember when Ismaila Sarr tore apart Arsenal in that Europa League game, and I remember that game. As well, that was one of the best live goals I think I've ever seen as well on TV. From their box to Arsenal's box, and Sarg scored from that as well. I suppose we have to talk about Manchester City because yet again, it's a piss easy group. So FC Porto, Manchester City, Olympiacos, and Marseille. Reece, I mean, like me and Connor have spoke off air, and we can't believe how easy that is.
It pissed me off, and you'll know why, Doug. 'Cause you know what I'm going to say. Doug's seen my predictions for every group for the English clubs, and Doug will show you both later. I put for the Man United group. I put Leipzig, Porto, Marseille.
Yeah.
Bloody Man City get two of them. The cheeky gits. But what I will say is Man City will be favourites to win this group. That's a no-brainer. But one thing Man City don't understand is they overestimate their opponents. They done it against Lyon, and they got rightfully battered. They didn't deserve to win that game at all, and I'm glad they lost in such convincing fashion. I think Marseille will beat them home and away. I honestly think Villas-Boas will get the double. As for Porto, I'm not sure. Perhaps I think Man City will do well against Porto. I mean, that's pretty obvious. But I think Marseille are the team that are going to cause the most damage. Villas-Boas he's gone around league to league, so he's quite a veteran, even though he was embarrassing for Chelsea. Just saying, and he was embarrassing for Spurs. But the one thing he has got is he's got a very good style of play, and he's also a very experienced manager. But if he can neutralise that Man City attack and he breaks that first midfield press, it's game over.
Yeah.
There's one thing about Manchester City, and it's very simple. Pep Guardiola has not learned from last year. That Leicester game defined he has not learned from last year.
So predictable.
He has not learned. And the thing about him is he is so stubborn. He came out after the game and said Leicester refused to play football. It wasn't counter-attack. He refuses to take responsibility for his own, for the fact that he is tactically getting it wrong. Pep Guardiola he's been Brendan Rodgers schooled him. Brendan Rodgers completely and utterly schooled Pep Guardiola in the Etihad. He has not learned from last season, and for that reason, Liverpool will run away with the title again. I think I thought he would have learned, but he didn't. And for most definitely, they will be embarrassed in the Champions League again by another team.
The one problem as well is they've brought in some good defenders, the likes of Ake and Ruben Diaz. Diaz for me is a fantastic signing. Well, he's going to get there if he fits in. I think Diaz is a good signing, but I think they've missed a mistake. I think they should have went for Koulibaly. Yeah. I think in terms of showing up that defence, they should have went for Koulibaly.
The thing is, though, like it's like what Josh said, where in terms of competing wise, it's like this is such an easy group for City yet again. Moving on to the knockout stages where they come up against the likes of Liverpool, Juventus, and things like this, they will struggle. And they have done, clearly by Spurs. When it comes to actual teams that can compete against them, they destroy them in the Champions League. All right, maybe on a week-to-week basis, in the league, it's different. But, in knockout competition, anything can happen. And Man City and Pep Guardiola, for me, again, they won't get past the quarterfinals again because that's how bad City are.
Pep Guardiola is
just for last 16.
Pep Guardiola is just the most stubborn, overthinking manager. Like in the right plan, why did he think a back three with Fernandinho, Laporte, and Rodri was going to work against Leon? Like, what the right man did he think that playing that back three was going to work? And then fair enough, it did work, but it was against a really struggling Real Madrid team. And he went to the Bernabeu and played Kevin De Bruyne as a false nine with Jesus out the left, and played, I think it was like Sterling in the midfield or something. He overfixed the Champions League. He did it at Anfield against Liverpool 2 seasons ago and got ripped to shreds. He doesn't. He's stubborn and he overlearns. Like playing that, if he played the 4-3-3 like he's done continuously against Leon, he would have hammered Leon. But playing that three at the back completely and utterly just screwed City. He refuses to admit that it's his fault, like any other top manager would do.
The one game in his managerial career that defined the fact I knew he was never going to win the Champions League again was when he was at Bayern, when they lost to Atletico Madrid. He played Lewandowski, the best number 9 in world football for the past decade. He played him as a left winger. That sums up Guardiola's stubbornness. That's why he'll not win the Champions League again. He played Lewandowski as a left winger and they rightfully got put out.
You look at it though, if anyone's watched the Man City documentary on Amazon, I think what Josh said about us underestimating Liverpool. He said in that documentary, and you can go back and watch it, he said that Salah would play in the middle and they'd use Bobby Firmino as a winger. We never did that at all. Salah was on the right, Mane was on the left, Bobby was in the middle. And we just tore them to shreds. Yeah, he does. But this saying that Pep can't win the league without Messi, it's true. He can't. He cannot win a Champions League without Lionel Messi.
Yeah.
The thing that I find so funny is that he tried against Leicester. He tried to play 4-2-3-1 with Rodri and Fernandinho sitting in front of the back four for protection. Yet when you actually analyse the game, they were playing as fucking second strikers. He's trying to make it look like, oh look, I'm trying to play the right formation. No, Rodri and Fernandinho were up the pitch, and then Jimmy Vardy, Harvey Barnes, and Taylor were just running free. Leicester had 2 midfielders, City had 3. The Leicester midfield completely dominated the midfield. It just shows how stubborn. He tries to play a formation to protect the back four. Yet when Leicester were counter-attacked, you had the 2 full-backs and the CDMs where Kevin De Bruyne and Sterling were, and you just had the 2 centre-halves by themselves. He does not learn. And yet he blames Leicester for playing Park the Bus, which he really did not that game. They did not park the bus.
One thing I will say as well that he made a mistake of is, and it showed in their Carabao Cup game just how effective he is, because I watched the game, was I don't know why he's not playing Ferran Torres. Like,
Yeah,
he's a very good creative winger, and I'm like, he easily would have offered like a lot, and I think that's the problem. Is like he would have offered something different in that Leicester game, but to say Leicester didn't play football, really, I mean, you were winning 1-0, and then you just ridiculously played. I don't know why he plays two holding midfielders. Like, he's never done that.
Rodri and Fernandinho don't complement each other at all.
It doesn't work. But it certainly shows. Yep, and it certainly shows in his lack of thinking. Like, the one thing is, like, Micah Richards said it, and obviously I'll reiterate, is the fact that if you can beat City's first press and you can beat that holding role, whoever it is, if you get past one of them, you're going to score. And it reflected in Leicester's attacking play. Leicester were ruthless at the weekend.
Yeah.
No, what Brendan Rodgers did, which was so smart, is that he made Pep Guardiola think they were going to play defensive with the 5 at the back. But what he basically did, and he said, that 5 at the back, you stay where you are. Then the midfield and the strikers, you press City, you make them uncomfortable. And that City just didn't know how to handle it. And then when you had Fernandinho, Rodri playing the second strikers, the fullbacks of the pitch, and then you left Eric Garcia, who doesn't even want to be at City, he's openly admitted that, and Ake, he's still learning, by themselves against Vardy, Harvey Barnes. No surprise they lost 5. No surprise they scored, conceded 5 goals. And the question is, will he ever learn? Probably not.
Yeah, that's very true.
I'll be surprised.
That is very true. But I mean, we have to move on. We have to go to the final team. And yes, I haven't left us out, guys. It is Liverpool's group. We have Ajax, Atalanta, and FC Midtjylland. I really hope I haven't butchered that name. Connor.
Midtjylland.
Midtjylland. There we go. Connor, your immediate reaction to the group?
Love it. I love the group. It's competitive. Nothing realistically that we can be scared of. Ajax, of course, fantastic team from what they did a couple of seasons ago in the Champions League. But getting rid of there's certain players like Ziyech, like De Jong, and things like this. And for me, Ajax are not the same animal as what they was even a year ago. In that aspect, but they're still a threatening team. We could have got a lot worse. You mentioned they, we ended up getting Atlanta, which is, attackingly a very good side. Defensively, a total shock at the back. But is it Midtjylland or whatever the hell it is? They are the Danish champions, I believe. So of course they are champions in their own right, and I'm looking forward to it. Practically 3 champions out of with us, Ajax and Midtjylland. I'm happy with it. It's competitive. I don't like I said, it could be worse, but I'm happy because all of the teams are attacking, and if you attack Liverpool, it comes into our hands practically. Yeah.
So basically, this is a group of basically goals, no defending anyway. The last time we faced Ajax, this might surprise a few people, was 1966,
and you lost.
And we lost. So we played 2 games against Ajax, and we've lost both of them. So it's not very good. But if anyone is in the comments, if anyone was around in the 60s, then please let us know. I'm happy with the draw. I'm not going to lie, because one of the names in the group in that pot 4, which I really wanted to avoid, was Borussia Mönchengladbach. Because post lockdown, when I watched the Bundesliga, they were on absolute fire. They've got really good firepower, good defense, good goalkeeper. I was praying that name didn't come out for us, but it didn't, and I'm very, very happy. Josh, what do you make of Liverpool's group?
I think Liverpool will definitely finish first in this group. Ajax I think as long as Ajax had Ten Hag, they'll always be a threatening team. How Ten Hag is still at Ajax and not at any other club in Europe is astonishing to me. I think once he goes, Ajax will be back to a nothing team, as much as harsh as that sounds. I think they will propose a threat. They still defensively still have a very good defense. Attacking wise, they're a bit slacking, but defensively they're still tough. But I think Liverpool beat them. The Danish league has always been known to be really good. I think every single Danish team parks the bus. I don't actually think that is like one of the most boring leagues to watch in my life. But I think Liverpool will. I think Liverpool should get past them, no problem. And who's the other team? My mind's gone blank.
Atlanta.
Atalanta. I think Gasperini thinks what you call him is what he's doing with that Atalanta team is like Cardiff been in the Champions League for 3 seasons in a row. You just have to take your hats off to him because they've got the same budget as what Rennes does in the Championship, and yet he produces a Barcelona looking. His team looks better than what Pep Guardiola City does at the moment. On a much less budget. I think Liverpool will finish second, and I'm going to go for a shock that Atalanta will finish second ahead of Ajax. That team for me, team for me is just they've got the goals in them. Yes, defensively they're not great, but they shown against PSG if they need to knuckle down and do the dirty stuff, they can do it. They were raw. PSG, just about won that game. So I think Atalanta will be another. I think if you're going to ask my underdog in the Champions League, for me it's Atalanta, and for me they'll finish second. But I think Liverpool will probably finish comfortably third. Sorry, comfortably first. Sorry, first, not third. First. First.
I was about to say that.
I was like,
mine's going.
We'll forgive you because you have been working a lot today. Reece, your reaction to Liverpool's Champions League group?
To be honest, I completely agree with Josh, to be honest. One thing I will say, and he's forgot to mention, but probably because he may not have known, is yes, Atlanta's scoring goals and Gasperini's worked wonders with this team, but you need to remember they've just let go of their best player. Papa Gomez is now playing in Qatar. So that's a big loss.
Wow,
like
he's
off.
Know that.
From what I know, he's off to Qatar, and frankly, that's a creative force. You cannot replace that. Not so quickly. I mean, Duvan Zapata's a good striker, and I think they've got Luis Muriel as well, but they can't unlock a defence the way Gomez can. What I will say is Gomez or no Gomez, I'm not going to underestimate Atlanta. They're a very good side, and they're certainly a dark horse for the tournament, regardless who they play. The PSG game, exactly. I mean, they didn't deserve to lose. No way did they deserve to lose that. I mean, PSG right at the end scoring twice, shocking. It was shocking that it happened like that. But a team like PSG shouldn't be having to wait until the 90th minute to score twice against like Atlanta. Like they're quality wise, they're way ahead. But it just shows in the toughest games when the pressure's on, the underdog is still gonna seriously put a bit of pressure into you, and Atlanta did. Gomez is a big loss, but I'm gonna have to agree. I'm gonna say Atlanta are gonna finish second. I think Europa League football for Ajax. I think they'll drop into the Europa League.
Very interesting.
Keep in mind, Ajax lost to Getafe in the Europa League last season. That was a game that they would have comfortably won a year ago. So that shows the levels that they've dropped, because Getafe Atalanta are better than Getafe are. So and the thing is, Ajax have got even weaker now that Ziyech and Donny van de Beek are gone. So you put everything together. I wouldn't even be surprised if the Danish team finishes above Ajax, to be honest. But for me, Ajax are nothing more than a tough team now, and then a threat. So that's why Atalanta should finish second.
Wow!
I think this is Ten Hag's last season at Ajax. I think this is last season. I don't see him coming to the Premier League. I think, and I'm not saying he's going to get sacked straight away, but I don't think Hansi Flick's going to be in the end of the Bayern job at the end of this season. Great that he won the treble in his very first managerial run. I mean, he's less than a year in charge as a manager, and he's won the treble. But I think Ten Hag could possibly be the next Bayern Munich manager.
Very interesting, right? So very, very quickly, I'm going to look at one group in particular, and it is Group G, and it already basically springs to me. Juventus and Barcelona. We have Messi versus Ronaldo. Who could have called that to have come out? Juventus, Barcelona, Dynamo Kiev, and Ferencvaros. Welcome to the Champions League, Ferencvaros. Anyway, I can say that. Connor, your reaction to Group G?
It's just like, do you know when you get like two boxers that are like, you know that they're not going to have a good fight, but like their names are big enough to sell the pay-per-view. That's exactly what Juventus and Barcelona are at the minute. And Messi and Ronaldo, they'll just sell views, won't they? Because that's what they are. They're the two greatest footballers, in our generation, by a long mile. But but Barcelona, I said this to you, Doug, off camera. For me, Barcelona are not a threat anymore to the Champions League. For me, they are, well, out of part two, they are the worst club to, Get out. Adam Bogdan is not my favourite player. Get that in the bin.
Really, did you have to remind us? He was at Hibs, for goodness sake. He landed at Hibs from Liverpool.
And he was a third choice keeper. Third choice keeper at Hibs, for God's sake. Third choice keeper.
Don't remember the Scottish League, mate. Remember Hearts had Joe Pereira. I don't want to remember that either.
Oh, he was so bad. Him, Zlatan, and Colin Doyle were the three worst goalkeepers I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I totally agree with what Connor says though. Like, Messi has really turned into a really nasty guy, I think, in what he's done against Barcelona. Like, people, like, he thinks he's bigger than Barcelona. Let me put it this way: no one is bigger than a club. No one is bigger than the club. And in my honest opinion, Ronaldo, for me, is better than them. And I hate to say that, being saying a bit about an ex-Man United player, but Ronaldo, for me, is better than Messi. Does it consistently for club and country. Messi always fails to do it for Argentina. That's my only reason why I'm saying Ronaldo's better.
You've just triggered half of the football community.
I was just about to say, cue the comments. Yeah.
Well, he's not wrong. But he's not wrong, to be honest. Ronaldo is fair,
though, when you go on about, no one's big enough for the club, in Messi's case, you are bigger than the club when you earn over €1 million a week.
Yeah.
That is when you are, the top dog in that club and probably running some of it.
One of the reasons why Barcelona, now don't get me wrong, Bartomeu, the president of Barcelona, is a shambles. He's an embarrassment to the club, and he has ran that up into the ground. But Messi has to understand that one of the reasons why he cannot get players in was because of the amount of wages he's on. Because big FFP, is staring Barcelona in the face if they make a signing. That's why Vidal, Rakitic, and Moussa Dembele, Semedo have all had to leave the club. It really is best between Ronaldo, because Juventus and Barcelona do not have teams built around them. And they most definitely do not have managers built around them, because, the Juventus manager, who was just a weird choice. He was kind of just thrown in there and just said, you do your job. And then Roman Koeman's going to be sacked when the new Barcelona president comes in anyway. So you can't really look at this game and say these are two European giants. It's two your massive best players in the world. And it's in that sense, it's just who can come up with the magic. And I think for the second reason that you said, I think it's going to be Ronaldo. He turns up in the Champions League. Messi doesn't.
To be honest, I think it's going to be two boring games. I'm going for 1-1 draw. I'm going for 1-1 draws in both games. Messi and Ronaldo won't score.
I think the Juventus manager is not going to have a clue how to approach the Champions League games of this stature. He'll just kind of put out a freestyle 11, and Roman Koeman will attack that. Roman Koeman will do what he does, and he'll attack that game. But we all know he is tactically useless in the big games. So, we played his Dutch team. As I'm from Northern Ireland, and we played his Dutch side in the World Cup qualifying. We went away to them and outplayed them on their own backyard, and lost because of lucky goals. He's tactically useless, and I think the fact that he was fired and then he's going to be sacked regardless of what he does just sums up what both clubs are at. And he will not.
I think that's a problem as well. I like Ronald Koeman. Like, he was one of my favorite players. Like, in terms of just how he was, he's absolutely phenomenal player. But one thing I will agree with you is his tactics is a bit off. I like a guy as a manager. I think he can certainly do something at Barcelona. But you made a very valid point. The guy that's running against Bartomeu has already said, if I'm in, Xavi's my manager. I don't care who's in charge right now. If I get it, Xavi's my manager.
Yeah.
And I feel that's a bit of a slap in the face to Koeman. But to be fair, who are you going to go with? Are you going to go with a guy that scored the winning goal in the '92 European Cup final? Are you going to choose perhaps the best Spanish midfielder I've ever seen? You're probably going to go with Xavi.
And Coleman, he is in there for literally one season. Even if he wins the treble, I think he'll be sacked because I think that bad precedent at Barcelona is going to bring us. Because I think Xavi coming back to Barcelona is what Barcelona need because the mood in that club is horrible. And if you want to keep Messi, you might need to do what you need to do. But I think the one difference, and the thing is, he went in there and he completely disrespected Luis Suarez and kicked him out of that club when he's only there for 1 year, and he completely kicked him out. Same with even Rakitic, and the same with Arturo Vidal. Servants, legend. Well, Suarez is the legend. The other two are just really good servants of the club. And he just said, bye-bye, see you later. That, for the fact that he's there for 1 year, he will always be remembered in the bad names for that. And I think he'll sit there, and I think he's pretty much said about Marcus to Barcelona, you're going to sack me? Well, I just disrespected your best player. Bye.
I think he's actually done a good thing in that sense because, like, obviously, I've got very specific ways to describe Luis Suarez, but what I will say is I'm not going to tear into them this. I'll let someone else do it. What I will say is what he's done in that sense is actually a good thing because Suarez is 32, 33. You've got a far better player in Griezmann who can do more than Suarez, but Suarez is a prolific goal scorer. That's one thing I can't ignore. His goal record is sublime. Yeah. I just strongly hate his attitude and his behaviour, but he fits Simeone to a T.
The thing is though, it's like with Suarez and Vidal, their transfer policy at the minute, Barcelona, is shocking. You know, they got rid of both of them for nothing. You know, Suarez, what was it, 5 million euros, which is like 3 million. That's nothing.
Vidal was 900,000.
Yeah, which was nothing. You know, and at the end of the day, it already shows that they don't have faith in. You know, Koeman, you know, like you say, you know, if the new president comes in, he's out. You know, we've already said that. But, you know, you look at their transfer policy, you know, Memphis Depay, you know, they've wanted him all summer. They can't get him because Barcelona will not give him the funds. Gini Wijnaldum, they won't give him the funds.
They wanted Lautaro Martinez for over a year, yet still could never negotiate a fee for him.
Yeah.
And they're not going to now because he's got a new release clause.
Yeah, but the problem is with Barcelona as well is that they're that much in trouble with FFP. They have to make, I think it's like 120 million euros in terms of you know, transfer fees and wages, which is just, you know, ridiculous.
I think it's got that desperate for Barcelona that they're actually contemplating selling Ter Stegen. By the looks of it, Ter Stegen will be gone by the end of the year. It's got that desperate.
That's a good comment.
Because they need to make funds.
That's a very good comment. Yeah, very good comment. Just very, very quickly before we have to go. Group A, Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid, RB Salzburg and Lokomotiv Moscow. That'll be a fun group as well. Group B, this is a potential other group of death. Real Madrid, Shakhtar Donetsk, Inter Milan and Borussia Mönchengladbach. That will be a cracking group to watch. Group F is Zenit, Borussia Dortmund, Lazio and Club Brugge. So there's going to be some cracking games as well. To the three of you, thank you very, very much for coming on the channel. Reece, pleasure to have you on the channel. Where can we find you on your socials?
So it's literally just right there, just Twitter, United for Life 14. Drop a follow if you want and get amongst comments anytime I tweet and just interact with you want about football. Nothing better, eh?
Excellent. No, it's been a pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you. Connor, where can we find you on your socials?
As you know, as we said there, you know, perfectly the Kop Council, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, and yeah, talk everything Liverpool and more. Absolutely,
Josh. I know you've had work, and I absolutely appreciate you coming on after a long day of work. Where can we find you on your socials?
Just JWSH_EU.
Absolutely. But yeah, guys, thank you very much for watching. The Champions League group stage draw. Cannot wait for the first games. We're gonna really, really enjoy them, I think, and it's gonna be a really enjoyable Champions League group stage for sure. But until then, it's goodbye from me. Come on Liverpool tonight against Arsenal. Shall be a really interesting game for sure.
3-2 Arsenal.
If it's anything like last year's Carabao Cup, if it's anything like our last year's Carabao Cup fixture, it'll be a joy to watch anyway.
Only
Come
Arsenal
on,
can
but,
go. Only
until then,
Arsenal
guys,
can go
I'll be
5-4 in
back
penalties. Eh?
tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow with a live match preview with Villa Together, which is a Villa podcast. So looking forward to that. So until then, it's goodbye from the three of us. If you like this content, please hit that subscribe button, smash a like on this video, and there will be more Champions League content coming on this channel very, very soon. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one. Take care. Bye.